What's going on, everybody? It's been a while. Thanks for checking in to the report. I'm back with Carlos. So much has happened in the last month. It feels like a whole fucking year has passed. First and foremost, I want to say if you enjoy the content, all 15 or 20 of you, hit that like button, subscribe, share that shit. And I want to give a special shout out to the absolute monster of a Karen that came into the place of business yesterday who refused to wear her mask because she thought it was going against her American rights. She then brought up the whole, is it a California law? Is it a county law? Is it a Trader Joe's rule? And honestly, the answer to all three of those questions is yes, you fucking Karen, put your goddamn mask on when you're inside the store. This has been going on for months now. This isn't fucking new. And don't make some stupid ass snarky comment on your way out the door, all right? You, Miss Lady Palo Alto, wearing your fucking pink halter top, talking all that shit, talking about you. Luckily, my face was hidden, so she doesn't know what I look like. But I know what she looks like because she was wearing her mask all down, like wearing a fucking necklace. Fucking stupid ass Karen.
Horrible.
When your mom gets
Dude, they've been holding
when her mom or aunt
revolts in Walmarts.
Dude, I'm gonna revolt my fucking 13-foot up someone's fucking ass if they keep this shit up, dude. Like way up there.
It's crazy, man. They're leading parades of people with no masks into stores, and just that's their revolt against mask wearing.
Do they revolt at construction sites when they tell you to wear a hard hat upon entry?
No, that's union. They're the only ones that can go against America.
Oh, okay, all right. But what about swimsuits to enter a swimming pool? What about that? Like, is that anti-American, or is that, like, at what point do they realize that they're just so out of their mind that the way they're acting is, I wouldn't even call it juvenile. Like, even kids understand, hey, wear this mask to protect your mom and your dad, and they'll put a mask on, no problem. I don't get it.
So simple.
No one's saying you have to wear it outside when you're walking around. It's just inside stores where this thing is most easily transmittable. Why is this so hard for people? I don't get it.
I don't know, man. I think being quarantined, being locked up, and now you can't even open your windows for the past fucking 3 weeks or so.
Especially in
People
California.
Gone crazy, man.
California has been a gigantic 2020 dumpster fire for the last, 2.5-3 weeks, man. All the poor people whose houses were in the line of sight for these fires. Something like 3 million acres or 4 million acres have been burned, which is the most in any given year.
Period. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I know they've contained a good majority of them, but there are still some that are they're fighting still.
Dude, and one of them was started because dun, 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 some stupid ass Karen family decided we're gonna light fireworks to tell people what kind of baby we're having.
Dude, the gender reveals, I've never understood it. I don't really know how that became a thing, but come on.
Dude.
Fireworks, dry season, or fire season, I should say, and yeah.
It happened because some people are so self-absorbed that they have to have everyone looking at them, even for something as common as having a child. Something that's been happening since 4 billion years ago when organisms first started replicating and dividing. Here we are. People still need
a baby shower.
Dude, or I don't know.
Isn't that a baby shower you're supposed to find out?
Do you need to hire Metallica's pyrotechnician in order to fucking tell people what kind of child you're having? You don't need to do that. You don't at all.
Dude,
you don't need to have any fireworks. Why don't you use glitter? Use glitter.
Yeah. That's how it started, right? It was glitter and it was pink or blue, and that's it. I know that's not, gender neutral, whatever, but simple enough, pink or blue. Some people even did little just powder.
I mean,
and now they've upgraded the fireworks, M80s, and fucking whatnot.
Why can't we just have nice things, man? Why do people have to be so stupid?
We have this beautiful land. Let's set it on fire.
Dude, it's not even beautiful anymore. It's been set on fire every year during fire season for the last 10 years, and we still can't figure it out. Every year from end of July through November, we have giant fires, and we still haven't been able to figure out that maybe lighting fireworks in seasons where we don't get a ton of rain is probably not a good idea.
It's becoming a thing, man. Now this is fire season is like a real thing. For the last 4 years have been massive fires that
Yeah.
have spread, and this has been the worst, obviously, because of that fucking lightning storm. But this is a thing. This is a new normal. Like next year, the year after that, you can expect that there's going to be forest fires, and pray to God that they're
every year, dude.
fast enough.
Every year.
But there's no climate change. That doesn't exist.
No, dude. No, man. It's just God. God's just angry at all of us. So he's like, I'm gonna light shit on fire right now. It's got nothing to do with science. You know, you don't have to go back 200 years to see that the last like 5 warmest years in record have all occurred over the last like 7 years. You know, you don't have to see that like hurricanes are hitting the Gulf Coast and the East all the fucking time now.
Yes.
You know, you have places like Colorado that have, 90-degree weather today, and tomorrow is like 32 degrees, and the next day is 80 degrees again. Like, nah, dude, that's totally normal. This shit happens all the time.
It's normal. It's whatever. Don't even think about it. Next year, you won't even notice it.
We're at the point now where if, like, our generation is literally the first generation that was born into this whole climate change situation, and we are probably the last generation that can do anything about it. And half of us are too busy with our heads up our ass to think that this is a real thing, because science is seen as an arm of the institution of politics and government that nobody wants to listen to it.
Science is the enemy.
Dude, science is the enemy.
Yeah, unfortunately. I don't know what happened, but yeah, I mean, they're all liars, according to someone.
Obviously. Well, they're only liars when they're saying something that he doesn't agree with, right? Like when the CDC director of vaccinations comes out and says, oh, we're probably not going to have a vaccine until next year. And Trump's like, no, we're going to have one by election day. As if that isn't a fucking partisan statement. Like, yeah, I'm going to make sure that we have a vaccine by the time you reelect me. And if you don't reelect me, I'm going to not leave office and negotiate a third term because you guys can't be trusted.
Dude, he's going to finagle his way into saying, if you want to, I'll have the vaccine for my supporters who want to vote for me.
That's good.
Here's your vaccine.
We can take all of them and stick them in like Idaho and North Dakota. We can just give them that little plot of land, and all the vaccine deniers, all the climate change deniers, all the Trump supporters, just stick them in there with all their fucking guns. Let them shoot each other. Let them develop polio and all the other horrible things that come from not taking vaccines. And let's just let Darwin take care of the rest. Because honestly, I don't have fucking time for them anymore.
Dude, at this point, man, Darwin needs to take over for just a little bit. Just thin the herd. Because there's some people who...
Dude, the same people that are out here talking about, we need to take America back and we can't let America become like fascist Germany. Dude, we have doctors in Georgia performing hysterectomies on Spanish-speaking immigrants who don't know they're getting hysterectomy.
Horrible, man. I read about that and it broke my heart.
Yeah, Dana Wooten. Shout out to another whistleblower who's coming out and putting her life, her career, her family all on the line. Even if it just happened, even if it happened just once is too many, where someone is forcibly or subvertedly given a hysterectomy without their actual consent. Like, people want to talk about saving the children. The same motherfuckers talking about saving the children who believe QAnon's fictitious bullshit and who believe in Pizzagate and all this nonsense. Where's their hashtag save the children about these mass hysterectomies that are happening to undocumented immigrants? Where are they? Where the fuck are they? Tell me.
Yeah. It's the fall of Cabal. They're just waiting for
the fall of Cabal. Trump is the savior who has also been indicted on multiple counts against underage children and attacked women. But yeah, dude, that's the guy.
That made me laugh that they were like, he is the true savior of, putting pedophiles into prisons, and there's no way he would ever do this because he is the one and true warrior.
Like, the fall of Cabal makes a lot of salient points, like people committing suicide with bullet holes in the back of their head seems a little suspicious, and I'll even say some of the whole like migrant caravan images they're showing, which honestly could be doctored, they could be cherry-picked images.
Yeah.
But as soon as she starts going on about Trump is the savior is immediately when I was like, this bitch is insane. There's no way.
The whole soccer ball thing, that inside that soccer ball was the secrets to you know, I don't know. The soccer ball theory that he gave it to his, what was it, like 14-year-old son, because his son is into computers and he could crack the code. And yeah, I don't know. That was too much for me. And Pizzagate with Hillary was.
But that's the thing. So you know what I watched yesterday? Have you watched The Social Dilemma yet on Netflix?
No, dude, I'm either going to watch it tonight or tomorrow.
I just watched it last night, and like, they're talking about all this stuff, man. And it is insane that people are scared of artificial intelligence. It's already controlling how we're thinking and manipulating the way we think. All these former executives, all these former engineers, people who worked on the ethics boards for these places are all saying the same thing. The theme is ubiquitous across all of these people about how our thoughts, our emotions, what we see online is all cultivated and curated by these programs that will either give you more of what it thinks you want to see in an effort to excite you, enrage you, or something to make you, you know, like, and once they've kind of gotten hold of your psyche, will start pushing more of these thoughts into your line of sight to the point where you're believing things like climate change isn't real, or Trump is not a racist, horrible businessman, piece of shit. Like, it's shockingly sad. Like, I think people in general sort of had an idea this was happening, but to this degree, it's far worse than I think anyone really truly believed that it could be.
Believes and will understand, because I think we're already on the latter side of it. Did you see? I mean, I think this was like maybe a year or two ago that Facebook had built these bots, artificial intelligence that could talk, and they have them talk to each other, and Facebook employees observe just, what they were saying. The bots noticed that humans were viewing and listening what they were saying, so they created their own language so they could talk to each other in private. And Facebook had to pull the plug and literally turn them off because they didn't know what they were doing.
So people have this idea that artificial intelligence taking over the world is going to be like iRobot. No. It doesn't have to be, because like, we're already the machines that they're implanting this viral malware into us. That's the thing people don't understand. Like, because the human brain is essentially a biological version of a computer. The way that it works is similar. You know, electrical impulses send signals from one part of your brain to another part of your body and makes things happen this way or that way. That's no different than how a computer works with computer chips, right? So what people don't understand is that just like any piece of software, the more that we are inundated with malware, misinformation, disinformation, hate, anger, the more that becomes part of us, the more that we react to it, the more that we dive into oblivion when it comes to these topics, right? So what does a robot taking over the world, like an Arnold Schwarzenegger type figure, what does that even matter when all the computer algorithms have to do is infect us biological humans to the point where we're killing each other anyways, which is what we're doing now. You can see it all over the place.
They're slow playing us. That's pretty much what it is, man. They're gearing us towards one direction. And bro, I as crazy as this sounds, it's kind of like the Matrix. Everybody is in their little pod, just living the life that is curated for them, oblivious to what's going around. And that's what's creating more conflict now. It's because everybody thinks one way. Facebook, Twitter, whatever social medias, they curate to you what you think and only show you stuff what you agree with.
Each individual person is basically put into their own echo chamber where all of the information that they're receiving, like when you go online, when I go online, we automatically think that what we're seeing is the norm. We're automatically seeing that the mass majority of people that we're interacting with who think like we do, we think that that is normal and that most people think this way. When in reality, every single person has their own, like you said, matrix pod that is creating the reality around them.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that it's normal and you think that people think the way that you do, when in reality, everyone thinks according to whatever algorithm has been determined for them based on their preconceived ideas, based on their clicks, based on what gets engagement. And all of these softwares, all of these social medias know everything about you, literally everything that you do, what excites you, what enrages you, what makes you stay on a video, what makes you click through a video. And you know nothing about it and how it works, other than that when you turn on Facebook or you turn on YouTube, you're getting a regurgitated, pre-digested version of reality that this software, these devices believe you want to see.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they're doing this, and I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I haven't seen the Social Dilemma, but I'm not 100% sure if every employee who's like semi higher up in the company knows about it. But the people who are in charge, they know. Zuckerberg knows what he has. And I mean, people just see it as data, useless data, but in reality, feed it into the right algorithm.
People think it's useless, right? But like, if you have enough data on somebody, on their habits, on their tendencies, you basically can control everything that they do.
Yeah, you get to decide what they see at what moment, or, I mean, fuck, I'm pretty sure they can see what time of day you log in, for how long.
Oh, yeah.
And they know, okay, he's going to be on for 5 minutes. We're going to show these 4 or 5 ads, these articles, and that's it.
And not only that, like, they see what part of the country you're logging in from. And from there, they can determine what other people's, like, if you search for, like, if you connect to Wi-Fi in California, you search climate change is on Google, it'll probably populate something to the effect of climate change is real, climate change is an existential crisis. But then if you log into some Wi-Fi connection in rural Arkansas, it's going to be climate change is a hoax, climate change isn't real, climate change is a democratic ploy. And that's the thing, right? It's not even as much about, in some ways, what you search for, what you believe in, but what the community around you believes in and what Google knows the community around you believes in. And ultimately, we're all tribalists in nature, where we all want to be part of a group because being part of a group is safer than being a lone wolf.
Mm-hmm.
So they give you all the information, all of the options that people within your community are most likely to search for in an effort to allow you to pit yourself against other groups to be part of the group.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm pretty sure when they first stumbled across all of this data, they just thought, oh, we can just personalize experiences. But
like the guy who invented the Facebook
big
like
picture.
So one of the guys that talked on it was the guy who invented the Facebook like button. So like the like button was an invention. It wasn't a thing that existed on Facebook initially. And what he said was the reason they created it was initially a means to try and spread positivity, right? Like, hey, like someone's doing something cool, like give them a like let them know, hey, you're thinking about them and things are good. But now it's gotten to the point where Generation Z, who is the first generation that grew up with cell phones, truly, like grew up with smartphones, I should say, not cell phones, but grew up with smartphones, grew up with the social media boom. You can see, especially among young girls, a precipitous incline between body dysmorphia, suicide attempts, suicide success, along with the rise in social media use, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So, and this is not to say that, like ultimately a tool should just be a tool. And in some ways, social media is in fact a tool. But a tool is something that also, when you're not using it, sits idly waiting to be used. Whereas all of the dopamine hits that you get from being on social media, getting those likes on Instagram, getting those positive comments and those thumbs up, those heart reactions, creates this feedback loop. And you're just getting hit constantly with dopamine that as soon as you put it down, the only thing you're thinking about and waiting for is for your phone to make that ding, that little buzzer to let you know, hey, someone is commenting, someone is doing this, someone is doing that. And what do? You immediately pick up your phone. And I understand that as I'm using, YouTube and Zoom to fucking talk about this shit, the irony is fucking palpable. But that's what it is.
Yeah, and it's an addiction. It's an actual addiction.
Yeah.
And
they had all kinds of like psychological PhD professors, business people on, and they go into pretty deep detail about the problems that this is creating and where we're headed from here. It's
Yeah,
scary.
man,
It's scary.
nobody can see the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is they will be able to control masses, and it's not going to
They
be
already do.
like, yeah, it's not going to be like, we want you to say or to think like this right now. No, but it's over time. They're slow playing us, and all of this data is just, it's kind of like they're pushing us into a direction.
Yeah.
We're not just running towards it, we're being pushed there. And as soon as we get far enough, we are thinking like that, and we think that that's our idea, when in reality, we just got pushed.
That's one of the things that they talk about in the social dilemma, is that it's not necessarily we want to change your mind or force you to think a certain way right now, but it's the accumulation of these little, it's almost like a death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? Where like over time, you're just getting inundated with so much slant, so much bias, and then you're being focused on a particular product or an advertisement that's supposed to cater to your hatred, your anger, your positivity. And it's changing our biological behaviors. It's changing the way we think. It's changing the way we act. And the most nefarious part about it is it's doing it so subvertedly that we don't even see that it's happening. We're just doing it. And it's happening so slowly over time. It's almost like I said, death by 1,000 paper cuts, where one paper cut, okay, 2 paper cuts, okay, 10 paper cuts, okay. And then over the course of time, you've bled out because you've gotten so many paper cuts that you weren't aware of how much blood you're losing. Or it's like that old axiom about the frog and the boiling pot of water, where if you put a frog in a boiling pot of water, it'll jump out. But if you put a frog in a pot of water that is slowly boiling, it will slowly raise its temperature to meet the temperature of the water until it can't raise its temperature anymore and it dies from heat.
Right.
Isn't that crazy, right? That's basically what social media and all these programs are doing to us. We're slowly being boiled in this pot of water, unbeknownst to us, or beknownst to a very small amount of us. And we're going to get to a point where we fry mentally.
I've actually heard a different one. Instead of with the frog in a pot of water, I heard it with the wolf and the knife, where there's a knife that's just hanging from a tree that just has a little bit of blood. The wolf will go lick it, cut its knife, but since it's tasting blood, it'll keep licking and basically kill himself over time.
Yep.
And that's what it is. We're just going up and just saying, okay, just a little bit more, just a little bit more, just a little bit more, and then it's too late.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. The way everything's going, I mean, Neuralink apparently is going to change the world. I didn't see the press conference, but I heard that it blew some people's mind.
Well, I mean, as if we really do it. As if, would I do it?
Yeah.
I would do it if it's removable.
I would do it too if it's removable. If it's something that it's just,
at the end of the day, like,
that's it.
To me, it's like no different than trying drugs.
Yeah.
Ultimately, most people have a desire to expand their mental capacity and see the world through as many different lenses as possible. A lot of people do anyways. I wouldn't say everybody, because some people just enjoy being in their little echo chambers and their information silos where they're just being fed the same stuff over and over again. But and I'm sure if my father or any of my family members see this, they'll be so disappointed in me. But but I think it's pretty common for folks to want to expand and push the boundaries of their own limitations. And substances are one of the few ways that you can do that. So for me, whether it's something that you ingest or something that you implant that changes your perception of reality, that changes the way that your mind works, it's just a new frontier of self-discovery that I would be willing to try so long as it's removable. But at the end of the day, if it's, $100,000 to implement this thing in my brain and then another 100,000 to take it out, I don't have that kind of money. So maybe I'll just have to interview somebody who gets it done to themselves.
Yeah, it's I mean, the price, I don't see how that's going to be readily available for everyone.
Not right away.
I mean,
maybe in like 30 or 40 years when they've done enough of it, maybe it'll be cheap. It'll be like an iPhone. Like when that first iPhones came out, they were like thousands of dollars when nobody could afford them. Now they're basically free with a phone plan.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to take some iterations of it, but my worry is that exactly, man. It was supposed to be for people who lost the ability to walk,
Yeah.
and the Neuralink
Or
helps
somebody who
them
had,
connect.
who suffered a stroke, you know, or somebody
Right.
who is losing this function of their body, or maybe their eyesight's going bad in one eye or whatever.
Which I totally get. That's a great way to look at it. Like, that's a great cause. It's a great product. But
It's a
as soon
digital
as he started venturing off
it's a digital
into,
version of like giving someone who lost a leg in war a titanium leg. You know, like, so we can see the titanium leg. Okay, it's giving them the ability to stand, the ability to walk. The Neuralink is basically a version that goes into your brain that allows your body to do things it couldn't do before, or that lost the capacity to do. So the benefits, I think, could be enormous. But if the last like 2 generations have shown us anything, it's that we are basically monkeys with sticks still at this point in our development as the human species. And our brains are not necessarily significantly changed from our hominid ancestors. You know, in a lot of ways, sure, developed language and, yada, yada, yada. But the way that it works, like fundamentally, the core that it operates is basically the same. Its capacity has just expanded. And, evolution happens biologically over the course of many, many, many generations. But this inundation of social media and technology is causing us to devolve in some ways. People are becoming less able to have conversations with each other. People are becoming less able to see the other side and try and have good faith conversations about things they don't agree on. And the idea of civility has effectively eroded. And you can almost see a direct correlation between that and technology.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy that we are being stunted. That's kind of what it is. It's our brain is being, it gets to here, and then it just starts picking us apart by making what you just said, conversations awkward. We don't know how to interact with people because we're so used to just sending a text message. I mean, I'm guilty of that, man. I prefer to text over talking on the phone. And
that's why I try and FaceTime people now. Like, because at least when I FaceTime somebody, even more so than a phone call, even more so than a text message or a Facebook message, you can see someone's reactions in basically real time. You don't necessarily see or feel their vibes because that's more of a close connection type of feeling, but you can see people's eyes open and close. You can see them look away, maybe roll their eyes. You don't get any of that through a text. You don't get any of that through even a phone call. So in some ways, and again, this is not to denigrate all that technology has done, all that social media has done. In a lot of ways, it's done great things. Like, people have found organs, like for people who are sick, who need this organ or that organ through social media. People have been able to find long lost relatives or find their moms and dads. So, we can't sit here and say that it's all bad, but if we don't find a way to ethically control how this data and how this information is being used by these big companies, like we've done with every other form of media out there, like TV, like, commercials and all that kind of stuff, we're headed down a slippery slope to dystopia. And I would probably say that at this point, America and a lot of the world at large is effectively balls deep in dystopian culture right now.
Well, I think we're past the point of no return, just because of
and put the genie back in the bottle.
Yeah, I mean, even if we were to, tax the data consumption of all these tech companies, I think it's too late still. I think for
something
them
to actually talk about. I mean, in some ways, yeah, it's probably too late, but we have to do something, right? Because there are future generations being born, and we have to find a way to make technology without being excessively harmful. Like, you need a prescription in order to get Oxycontin for the most part. Maybe we need to have some sort of prescription or rules allowing kids or impressionable minds to use particular forms of media, specifically social media.
I think putting a age gate on social media would be the first good step, because you are right. I mean, kids who have a Facebook page or kids who have their own YouTube page and stuff like that, they're already change. They're already changed in the way they think, how they see the world. They see themselves as content creators. They see themselves as this, and I mean, based off what the personal curation of each profile is, that's how they're going to remain thinking. That's how, when they're developing, going to school, going to high school, their mind is already formed to believe one thing or think in a certain direction. And I think age gating would be maybe the first good step, but I
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
see
or along those same lines, creating a, you know, adolescent version of the same medias that exist, right? Where when a 14-year-old or a 12-year-old logs into Facebook, they're not inundated with a bunch of negative comments and likes or dislikes. What they can just get instead is information, you know, and hopefully well vetted, accurate information, but with less of the dopamine hits that come from things like likes or, you know, hey, your outfit looks wonderful, or, you know, you're ugly. Look at how big your ears are. These are all things that hit the brain in similar ways, but target different emotions, and it creates this oftentimes detrimental effect on especially very impressionable minds like me. At this point, like, I'm old enough to where I don't give a fuck if someone likes or dislikes something I say. As I'm sure you've seen on Facebook, I could give two fucks. But an 11-year-old, an 11-year-old girl or an 11-year-old boy, or someone in, you know, someone who doesn't identify as either, they're feeling trapped by these feedback loops of positivity, of negativity, of hate, of discontent, of likeness, of all these different emotions, and they're being stunted, like you said. So in an effort to help keep our children and future generations from going off the deep end and, you know, sort of stemming this curve, this upward trend of suicide attempts, of body dysmorphia, of, you know, of self-loathing, we need to find some way to close that feedback loop, especially for kids, and create a more engaging community that allows them to be positive, that allows them to have discussions with people without being attacked for looking a certain way or thinking a certain way.
I completely agree. That would be amazing, but dude, the internet is filled with trolls. Some are really worse than others, but I mean,
Some also run the United States.
Yeah.
King
That
troll.
orange troll.
The emperor wears no clothes, dude.
With like body dysmorphia and everything, I believe that's Instagram alone.
Well, I think even more so now, you have like Facebook with its multiple reaction options. Like on Instagram, you only have the like button. On Facebook, you have like, care, heart, anger, laughing, whoa. You know, so like you're getting hit with, you know, 5 or 6 different emotes for one post. And depending on whether it's more positive or more negative, you're going to internalize it one way or the other. And I think in both ways, it's potentially negative, because if it's positive, you're getting that dopamine hit in a particular way, thinking, oh, cool, I need to keep adding these filters or saying these things in order to get all the people that like me to keep liking me. Or you get hit with all that negativity and you're thinking, you know, fuck, I'm ugly, I'm not a good person, I'm a bad person, I need to change myself in some drastic way in order to meet the standards that everyone else has for me. Crazy.
Now imagine you're a 10-year-old and you don't fully understand all of the stuff that's being done, and it changes you. It's fucked up, man. Social media is it's something that we don't fully understand yet, but
dude, I mean, like, think about how long it took us to learn that the earth was not the center of the universe. We've had social media for like literally 1 minute of human existence, if that. Like in the grand totality of human existence as a civilization, like if you consider civilization when we first created written language, or when the first human broke a leg and was able to heal without getting eaten by a lion or a tiger or a bear, let's call it 5 or 10,000 years. We've had social media for the equivalent of 30 seconds of that whole period of time. And it's done so much to erode a lot of the civility that used to exist and have turned us into robots. Have turned us into robots. We don't even need robots to take over. We are the robots.
I mean, it's very true. Facebook, I wouldn't even say MySpace was like Facebook, because MySpace was more leave comments, top 8, whatever. But Facebook really came into existence, 2004? we've had social media, this giant, for less than 20 years. And that's not including the spin-offs, which is Instagram, Twitter, I don't even know what else is out there. But these giants haven't been around that long. So we're in the beginning phase of all of this.
And they're all basically operating with carte blanche. Like, they don't have really any rules or regulations because it's so hard to regulate the internet.
And there is no rules written yet. And they can do whatever they want, really. And now that people are starting to notice, like, why does Facebook need to know or have access to this? Why does Facebook need to know my location with this? Why does people are finally asking questions, but I feel like it's just too late. They have all this information. We can start putting up
I know people, especially on the right, hate the idea of regulation. But if a government doesn't exist to regulate to the point where it's doing its best to take care of everybody in a more global and equal fashion, then what good is government anyways? It already doesn't take care of its citizens. It already, puts us all in trillions of dollars of debt. I mean, not us individually, but as a country. What if they're not doing their best to take care of their voters and their residents? Then what the fuck good is government anyways? Like, this is the kind of shit government should be trying to work towards improving.
I mean, these CEOs of all these social media companies, they hold the power. And it's not like power that they wield, one day it's like, I want to do this. No, it's more of how the world is going to evolve, how people are going to be divided. That's the other part. I mean, just like what you said earlier, that if you type in Google climate change in California versus if you type it in Texas, you're going to get the results vastly different.
Same thing with COVID. Something that's killed over 200,000 people, which is the equivalent of losing Santa Clara and Sunnyvale combined.
And yet, depending on where you are, that's how your mentality is going to be shaped.
Even if you're someone who lives in Palo Alto, apparently, and you think it's a big fucking joke because it hasn't affected your family. Well, you know what? The moment that it hits your family is the moment you'll pull your head out of your ass. But sadly, that's the only way some people get it.
I mean, it's kind of like, you snap out of it. It's like, no, that won't ever happen to me. That won't ever happen to me. As soon as it does, it's like, oh shit, this was real this entire time.
Oops. Well, man, I got to actually dip. I didn't realize what time it was, but appreciate you hopping on with me, my friend. You're busy tonight, right? You got stuff going on?
Yeah, I'm going to be visiting my mom up in Hercules.
For sure.
But I heard you're going to the beach on a cute date.
Yeah, me and my little pussy, Cabal. We're gonna go play. We're gonna go play with his wiener dog on the beach.
Nice.
All right, brother. Stay off social media, man. Or at least use it very sparingly.
Just use it for clicking on this YouTube video. That's it.
There it is. Subscribe, share, the report. Take care, brother.
See you later.
Give my best to your wife, and I'll give my best to my fiance. Ooh.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you. Take care, brother.
Later.